Hi and welcome back. I'm Paul Bryan from Drive Chicago, and you can hear that show every Saturday morning from 8 to 9 on WLS AM 890. And we're here with Dan Briggs at Elmhurst Toyota, and we're trying to walk you through some of the different things that are important to the maintenance of your car and why it's important for you to make sure that you not only do preventive maintenance, but maybe get a better understanding of what happens when you bring your car in and your technician says, hey, you need to do this or do that. For as much go as any car has, you could get an 1,100 horsepower Bugatti Veyron. And if it doesn't have brakes, you're in a world of hurt. So let's take a moment to talk about maybe the most important thing in your car, which are the brakes.
Absolutely.
So
what we have here is the rear brakes on the vehicle.
There's disc brakes and they're drum brakes.
Correct.
Okay. And why don't you...
Focusing on the rear drum brakes on this vehicle, you can see the brake pad, the black material that's located right here, is very thick. It's a newer vehicle. It's got quite a bit of life left in it. Normally for rear brakes, you're going to want to replace around 1 millimeter, anywhere from 1 to 2 millimeters, depending on how the brake shoe itself is actually wearing.
Let's take a moment here, Dan, and explain to people how this works. Now, we've taken off the big drum itself, and we're looking at the innards here.
Okay.
So tell them here in the Reader's Digest form of what's going on here and how this stops the car.
Okay. What happens is it starts with the driver pushing on the brake pedal itself.
Okay. As that happens.
As the brake is pushed, it goes through a brake master cylinder, which comes through a brake line, through hydraulic pressure, because there's brake fluid in the braking system. That pressure comes to the wheel cylinder. That wheel cylinder takes that fluid pressure and pushes outward.
Okay, so that
which
makes
takes
these
the brake shoes, moves them outward. They contact the brake drum.
Okay. Sure. Let's take a look at that.
The brake drum. The brakes actually push against this surface here, which actually stops the car. The friction of the brake pad hitting this metal piece that's what slows down and stops the vehicle.
So when you're going to get a brake job, you've got two different things that are going to be in play. You're first going to have this going on here. You're going to have the drum, and you're going to have this shoe as well.
Correct.
Okay.
When you do a proper brake inspection on the vehicle, you pull the brake drums off, you inspect for the amount of dust buildup, you look for any type of leaks coming from the wheel cylinder area. You want to make sure that everything is well lubricated, and then make sure that all the components are moving as they're supposed to.
Okay. Now, we'll get into disc brakes up at the other end of the car, and we'll do that in a little bit. But this is what's going on with the drum brake. Now, we should mention as well that probably 2/3 of the braking of any vehicle are done on the front brakes.
Correct. And one of the most important things that you want to do too for the rear brake, for rear drum brakes, is to make sure that the parking brake is adjusted properly. You want to make sure that the distance or the pressure between the front and the rear is proper. You want to make sure that not always you're using the front brakes, but you want to make sure that the rear brakes are being used also. Yeah. We do that by doing a brake adjustment, and we'll also generally clean off all the brake dust. As you can see, there's quite a bit of brake dust that occurs in the brake drum area. It gets kind of trapped in there with the drum on there. Okay. So we want to make sure that gets cleaned off.
Is that what makes your brakes squeak?
It does. Actually, your brakes making contact with this very highly polished drum surface or the rotor surface gives you that squealing. And it's a vibration that's set up on the brake pad between that rotor surface and your brake pad. That's what causes the squeal.
Okay, so then somebody comes in and says, my brakes are squeaking. Is it just a cleanup?
Could be. Could be something as simple as cleaning the rear brakes, cleaning and adjusting the rear brakes. Could be something a little bit more comprehensive that needs to be done. Either the brake pads can be a little bit too hard, or they can be a little bit worn. Okay. And there are sensors in the front that allow you to know when your brakes are getting very low.
But let's say that your shade tree mechanic or the guy who's an independent who doesn't necessarily work on these all the time might not know the intricacies of this vehicle or whatever it is because he's got such a big plate to say grace over. Again, it's another reason To bring it to your franchise.
That you want to take it to your bring it to your franchise new car dealer. Absolutely.
Okay.
We know the car is best. Kelley Blue Book in 2008, I looked it up this morning. 2008 has 42 different manufacturers. If you average about 10 models per manufacturer, that's 420 cars just in the 2008 year model. That's a lot to know.
Yeah.
And an independent may not know all the intricacies of each one of those models or each manufacturer. Every new car dealership has their own models that they're more in tune with.
And apart from that, you have continuing education courses, don't you?
Absolutely. Our technicians go, they've got online tests that they have to do monthly. There's a lot of tests that they have to make sure that they're up to snuff on. We also have courses that they take off premise. They'll go to our local region and they'll take classes there. There's a lot of courses that are offered through a lot of the Triton, UTI, that will be manufacturer specific, just to work on specific model cars.
Okay. And that's a big enough place to say grace over.